Welcome to the June Board of Mayor and Aldermen meeting. We first will open the public hearing for the FY 2020 budget. Is there anybody here that wants to speak? Please come forward.
I'm going to speak. I want to ask a few questions if I could. Can I move this down here? Thanks. I've got a question on the Tahoes that y'all approved this year. What fiscal year was that accrued to, or how is it going to be paid?
Scott.
It will be it's added into this coming year's fiscal year 2020's debt service.
Debt service, okay. Okay. So it's not coming out of the reserve or anything like
No,
that?
sir,
You're just going to take it right out of it?
payment.
Okay. The shortfall that you're coming up with, $467,000, is that about right? That was in the paper, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you taken any measures to try and rectify that, or did you just decide that since it's that shortage, we'd just take it out of the reserve?
Sir, what we've done over the past few years, we have built up fund balance in anticipation of the grant programs. We've got the phase 1 of the Greenway that is coming this year. We have phase 2 of the Greenway that's coming this year. And then also we'll be doing an 80-20 match on William D. Jones. And all of that totals up the local match of 20% on all 3 projects is over $560,000. So we feel comfortable pulling the fund balance less than what we're actually be using to meet the requirement of the grants.
Okay. Now, has any of been, I mean, we've been accruing expenses during the process, haven't we?
Yes.
Engineering bills and everything like that.
Yes.
So technically those go against it, or are those paid in addition to the match?
They have in addition.
Okay. Okay. I noticed that on one of the purchases on the big ticket items, did we buy a tractor last year with a bush hog and bat wings and all that stuff? Or
Yes.
did we defray that?
No, sir, we purchased it.
So we need another one?
Yes, sir. Old equipment.
But we got a new one.
Yes, sir. One new one, but they run 2, 3.
They're 2 different pieces of equipment.
Are they used for the same purpose?
No.
Well, obviously, the big one is used for the bigger areas. Are you doing the bypasses now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what about the Camp Lund?
That was last year's purchase.
That was last year's?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you used those all enough to buy another tractor for $70,000 for a skid steer?
It's 2 totally different pieces of equipment.
Okay. Okay. Was there a list of the capital projects that you're going to do this year with regard to things like sidewalks, drainage ditches, or drainage issues, things like that in the budget?
Not capital, as built into the operating general fund, and there's line items in the public works, street department.
So that you have enough built in there to do surveys of the drainage, the storm drains and everything, and fix things like the Norris Street that is caving in again, and to avoid things like what happened last year or the year before, where we had $55,000 over there at Sam's place, down there by the recycle center.
Yes, sir.
So we've got enough built into the budget for that.
Well, to do the studies and everything, we may not have enough to do all the work that needs to be done.
But weren't there supposed to be studies done before this, during the previous board?
There was, but then it got sidetracked with the CDBG application that was made, and then we were not funded for. So since then, we've had various engineers look at some of the more concerning areas and working to repair them, such as Bagley Drive and 3rd Avenue, and there's a couple more that we're studying, and North Street is a big one. We've got to coordinate with the state on that, so we hope to get our engineering study with TDOT and see where we can go from there.
Okay. One other thing. Are you all familiar with, is anybody familiar with the compensated absences accrual? I guess not. Is that assuming that you don't know what it is?
I guess I'm not sure what you're referring to when you're saying the compensated absence accrual.
On page 45 of the audit that you're going to approve tonight, it lists compensated absences. The beginning balance was $633,000. The additions to it were $417,000. They have reductions of $378,000, with the ending balance of $674,991. The anticipated amount for one-year payouts is $400,000. Now, the reason I'm asking this is because during the last term, we had several employees that retired and received, well, 2 of them received a full year's pay based on what I understand, that including pay raises and holidays and their insurance paid at the rate for the individual employee. That is what goes here. It's an accrual, just a book accrual for those type of employees. There is what they call a milestone employee, which are the people that have hit 10 years, 20 years, and more, that the accrual is designed to anticipate funding for those employees. So my question is that, you know, if you have a $467,000 shortfall and you're covering that with the fund transfer based on the company, or they should say the city's part of those capital projects that you mentioned, then you're still going to be short just based on this. Now, it's not going to be $400,000 probably, but I know that there's another employee that's got a year and a half that left recently that's on full pay. So I understand that the board has dealt with part of that issue in that there is no more further service. You don't get paid after you retire. You just get paid for what you are owed. Is that correct? Okay. But still, that's something that I think that you ought to look at, because that's going to affect your cash. It's a non-cash, it's just an accrual type of account that gets paid when the people retire. And based on some of the people that are in this city employment, there could be several of those people that are going to be falling into that category. On top of that, you're paying their insurance until they're 65. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody retires at 50 because they spent 30 years here, they began working here at 20, they're getting 15 years of free insurance.
Yes, sir.
For 15 years. And we can sustain that?
There are several issues being reviewed there. We have a meeting set up with TCRS officials that's going to come down and visit us pertaining to the sick leave. trying to count that on pay into TCRS to allow them to retire earlier. Regarding the health insurance, the policy currently states until you're Medicare eligible.
At 65.
And so public service, public safety official could arguably retire at age 50, and we have to pay him until he or she is Medicare eligible. But that's just something we're going to continue to look into, because fortunately we've had an opportunity where restructuring the office and going to do more focus on HR and some other issues that you're alluding to. And I think we'll be able to do a much better job on addressing these issues, so the city is not at risk.
All right. One of the main reasons I'm here is to ask questions, because I had questions regarding these that I talked about. But the other thing is because for 4 years I sat in that chair and we had budget hearings, and they lasted a minute and a half. Nobody came, nobody asked any questions, and then they complained after they found out we were playing stuff. So I didn't want to be hypocritical, and I appreciate your answers, and hope everything works out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak? Come to the podium, please.
Hey guys,
Hello, good
Good
evening.
evening.
I've been following you guys. I've done other budgets before. All in all, it looks pretty daggum solid. I'm impressed with what I've seen. Your budget was presented to you beautifully. It's very understandable, and it got not down into all the details, but the people that presented it to you, man, I was really impressed with it. It looks like your budget is addressing your priorities that you've set. You're investing money in looking into the future and setting plans so that you can then have other goals. Good luck. I hope we make it. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? If not, we'll close the public hearing. We'll go into our regular business thing. We'll have a prayer by the Vice Mayor Small. We'll do the pledge, and then we will adopt the agenda. Please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come tonight to thank you for all the blessings. We thank you for the grace and mercy that you've shown all of us. We ask, Lord, you continue to bless this city. We ask you to bless this country. We ask you to continue to bless those that protect us. And we ask you to come into this meeting to give us what we need to take care of what we need for the city of Fayetteville. And we ask these and all blessings in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anybody have any changes to the agenda?
Mr. Mayor, I do. I have an addition that I would like to add, and this comes from Main Street. We would like to make note that the first Friday, which would normally be, of course, the first Friday of the month, but because of the holiday weekend, they wish to move that to June the 28th. And also, due to the growth of the event, we would like to extend that not only the north side of the square, but also include the south side of the square. And this will give, we hope, motion and foot traffic around the entire square with this small change. But it was a great turnout this past weekend, so.
It was, considering the weather, and I commend the people on the north side for hanging in there through a couple downfalls of rain in the 5 to 5:30 period. I guess the question is, do we need to have this as an item that needs to be voted on? I mean, because they would normally go through a normal permit process. But I guess we do. That's correct.
Their permit has been approved all the way through October.
They want to
But
amend.
This is yes, an
Want to
addendum.
amend. Okay, let's add this as item T, Main Street, first Friday, July amendment, per Alderman Hartman's request.
June the 28th or
June the
July?
20
June 28th.
June 28th, because the 5th, July 5th falls on the holiday. Some people will be on the holiday, so. If they want to move that up to June 28th and include the south side for vendors, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct, okay.
Thank you.
Everything else would be the same?
Yes, sir.
So,
Mayor, also, in regard to the agenda, it's recommended that item N, 110 Elk Avenue North, purchase for $157,000 plus closing. It's recommended we strike that because the property is no longer going to be available.
I need a motion and a second so that we can adopt these changes to the agenda.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second, all right, any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder? Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
All right, next item, regular meeting minutes. Adrian sent these out this afternoon. Does anybody have any changes to the meeting minutes from the May meeting? If not, those will stand recorded. We'll go into our regular reports. We're Dr. Wilson from the Fayetteville City Schools. Welcome to have you tonight.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be here. And I don't have a lengthy report, but a few things from the school system. We were given an award for from the National Beta Club, and I'm proud to say that it was a district award for distinction, and all three schools received a plaque, and the district received a trophy for our accomplishment. And it says for continued commitment to academic achievement, character, service, and leadership. And it was from the National Beta Club, so that was quite an honor for our schools, and we were pleased to receive that. We have Read to Be Ready going on at Askins. 42 students are being bussed in, and they're getting instruction in reading and also a hot meal every day. So 42 students are getting some good literacy instruction, and we're pleased to have them with us. We're starting a new program at the middle school, and it is a program in medical science. So I think that's an indication for workforce development. That's a need in our area, and we're going to matriculate that to the high school at a later date, but we're starting with 5th through 8th graders. So we're pleased to be offering that at the middle school starting in August. A few things, we had over $4.7 million in scholarships offered to our students at the high school for our seniors for graduation who are going on to higher education and to maybe the TCAT programs. Of course, we had a group of about 50 students, and I think almost 30 adults go to New York and Washington, D.C. Miss Tanya was one of them, and they had a great time, and I heard they got lots of compliments on their behavior. And
They did.
it was a very special trip for our students, so we're pleased that they went. Our group from the middle school called Notice the Good, which is an anti-bullying, it's sort of a group of students who started a program to make sure that students who were maybe not treated as well as they wanted them to be treated, make sure they were included. They'd go and sit with a student that they saw was maybe alone at lunch or something. Anyway, it's been a great program, and it's been noticed, and they have gone to present at the state level. So it has been recognized as being one of a kind, and we're proud of them for initiating that program, and it has helped a number of students at the middle school be included And we're proud of them for starting that program. And I don't have anything else tonight unless you have questions.
Well, I think we have a champion to be noted at the city high school that went down to a camp in Auburn.
Yes,
Our mascot.
Our mascot, he received a couple of awards, as a matter of fact, at the Auburn mascot camp. So we're proud. We're always proud of him. He's a special fellow. I will not be able to be here in September. Every year, I'm not here in September because of the superintendent's meeting in Gatlinburg. So I'll reschedule. Be glad to
You're
swap
welcome
to another date.
August or October.
Yeah.
Either way. Anybody have any questions?
Be glad to be here.
Dr. Wilson?
And we're getting ready for another school year.
Coming up
It comes,
fast.
comes around fast.
6
Thank you
weeks.
very much.
Thank you.
6 weeks. Thank you. We have Miss Bernadette for the Fayetteville Lincoln County Library. Welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. So good to see everybody. Well, good evening, Mayor Wisenot and Aldermen. Thank you for inviting me to speak with you this evening about the library, my favorite subject. It's good to be here and see everyone. We have some really exciting events that are coming up at the library, and we want the community to know about them. We are thrilled about our upcoming summer reading program, and we invite the entire Fayetteville, Lincoln County community to participate. This year, our summer reading theme is a universe of stories, which focuses on space and science. And the program is free for all ages to participate, from preschool to adult. Our summer reading program begins with a kickoff celebration that will be this Saturday, June the 15th, 10 a.m. to noon. And our summer reading program will focus on many fun and exciting opportunities for children to read and to have weekly explorations. The weekly explorations are going to be June 24 through July 12. And they're going to be very fun, informative STEM activities for children. Our weekly themes will be the moon on June 24 through 27, rockets July 1st through 3rd, and a trip to the moon during the week of July 8 through 11. And our summer reading program will conclude with a grand finale on Saturday, July 13th at 10 a.m. to noon again, to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. So that's absolutely something we want to commemorate. This year, with our summer reading program, we are giving children ages 5 to 12 years old who attend all 3 weeks of STEM labs with the opportunity to win prizes. The top 8 readers who also complete all 3 weekly STEM activities will win 1 general admission ticket to the U.S. Space and Rocket Center in Huntsville. Additionally, all participants who turn in a reading log and attend all 3 weekly STEM activities will have an opportunity to win 1 of 5 tickets to the planetarium at the Space and Rocket Center. So this is going to be an absolutely fun, educational, exciting opportunity for children, and we encourage parents to register your children. The summer reading program, as you may know, is free of charge and open to everyone. Early registration is going on now at the library and online at flclibrary.com. And registration will go on through registration week, the week of June 17 through 22. Parents or guardians are invited to register your children to participate. As you know, summer reading is important. because it encourages children in our community to continue to read during the summer months when they're out of school. And this helps them to maintain and strengthen their reading skills. Our summer reading program is made possible by the generosity of the Junior Round Dozen, and we heartily thank the Junior Round Dozen for their support. Thanks to the Junior Round Dozen, the library is able to provide a vibrant summer reading program, as well as the Tumble Books Library, which is an online suite of interactive ebooks for children, available free of charge for the community use on the library's website at flclibrary.com. Why is the summer reading program important? Research indicates that children who read during the summer months retain the knowledge and skills learned in the previous school year. Students who don't read are at risk of falling behind their classmates. Parents and teachers can avoid this by making sure that kids take time to read. The library summer reading program gives children many opportunities to continue reading during the summer months in a very fun and educational environment. This is how our library is contributing to our community. We want to invite the community to attend summer reading events at the library. It's open to participants of all ages, from preschool, toddler, elementary, teenagers, and yes, even adults can register and participate. So we want to encourage you to register your children and yourselves. There is so much for everyone. Other events going on at the library include the Elk River Book Club. Come and join us for engaging conversation the last Thursday of each month at 6:30 p.m. Our next book club meeting is Thursday, June 27, and we are very excited to announce that author Robert Bailey will be with us to discuss his McMurtry and Drake Legal Thrillers book series. Books in this series include The Professor, Between Black and White, The Last Trial, and The Final Reckoning. Books can be obtained on Reads and at the library, and we would love to invite the community. Please come join us. A reminder that preschool story time is Tuesdays at 9:30 and Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Preschool story time will continue during summer and will include summer reading space themes. And finally, we want to extend an invitation to the community to bring us your toughest technology questions on Tech Tuesdays during the afternoon hours. Our technology experts are available to assist. Mayor Wisenot and Aldermen, again, expect many things from the library this year and beyond. The library is continuing our tradition of contributing to the Fayetteville, Lincoln County community in many significant ways. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you and everyone at the library.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments? No. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll go into our standing committee reports. We'll start with the fire department. Interim chief. Oh, interim chief's not here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fire department had 91 calls total for the month of May, to include 3 grass fires, 66 EMR calls, 1 accident, 3 gas leaks, 1 smoke scare, 8 alarms, and 9 other calls for service. That's my report.
Thank you. We'll go proceed to the police department. Chief Howell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the month of May, we made 58 arrests, issued 103 citations with a total activity events of 1,233. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Go to the recreation department. Mr. Mitchell.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Our 18th annual Kids Fishing Day went over a great success, even though the weather wasn't that nice. Big crowd, just like always. Everybody seemed to really enjoy it. We have our Daddy-Daughter Dance coming up this Friday, June 14th. It starts at 6:30. Anybody can still register right now. We're still taking people in. Our Independence Day celebration will be June 29th at the complex. Events will start at 5 and fireworks will shoot at 9 like normal. This year we are bringing in a zip line that's approximately 275 foot long. And that'll be the only thing there besides food that I have a charge to it. It'll cost $10 to ride it, but I believe it'll be well worth it. Update on Kids Park. All the equipment has been ordered, shipped. They said it should be here June 23rd, so we'll start our repairs as soon as we get that in. I'd also like to thank the Lions Club and Mr. Blake Koppel. They contacted me and built a pavilion on the upper side of the complex, the kids park, so you can actually sit in the middle and see the whole park. They donated the materials. Murray Blackwelder had his maintenance crew, and guys Mike Davis and them, they come built it free of charge, so I'd like to say thank you to everybody involved in that. Moving on to our swimming pool, we've had the biggest season so far that I know of. We're having our Glow Bash party June the 19th from 7 to 9. And then this 4th of July, we're going to have a celebration that day. We're going to open up early at 9 a.m. and we're going to run it till 6 p.m. that afternoon. And that's my report, Mr. Mayor.
A lot going on.
Yes, sir.
Let's go on. We'll go on to Public Works. Mr. Plunkett.
Thank you, Mayor. The month of May, we had 124 ton of brush, 261 ton of trash, and 4 ton of leaves. 4th of July will be a holiday, which is on Thursday. Any trash that is usually picked up on Thursday will be picked up Friday morning. That's my report, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. We'll go to Planning Codes. Ms. Gentry.
Thank you, Mayor. The permit activity report for May included 16 permits. The project valuation was $168,827.68. The fees totaled $1,071. Linus currently has over 350 violations on her log. She's working diligently to get the trash and grass cleaned up throughout the community. And I wanted to mention that Chandler Thanks will be here to kick off our branding initiative the next 3 days. Our economic development team will be touring the community with their team, and they will be conducting approximately 24 one-on-one interviews and holding 4 focus groups that will have 12 to 15 people in each group. And those will be made up of the community stakeholders. And then our downtown master plan will kick off July 18th and 19th with their first visit to the city with the Walker Collaborative, and we also look forward to getting that project started.
Yeah, that's a broad spectrum. I looked at the list of people, and you have a good broad of the community on those stakeholders.
Yes, sir. And we thank everybody who's agreed to participate.
Thank you. Next, we have information technology. Mr. Taylor, I think you have somebody to introduce to us.
We have a new associate that's coming to work for the city of Fayetteville, Zach Sidley. He's been here now for about three weeks in information technology, and he grew up in Lincoln County, graduated from Lincoln High School, and he went on to Motlow to get his associate's degree. Then he went and graduated from UAH and got his bachelor's degree in information systems. So just want to formally introduce him to you guys, and we'll welcome him aboard.
Welcome.
Glad to be here. How do you work for City of Fayetteville?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure, I know Jerry will keep you busy.
I'm very busy.
Anything else you have as far as?
No, we do have the equipment in for the public Wi-Fi that we'll be working on over the next month. So that should be in, hopefully.
And explain real quick, so that's for the square and how many feet off of the pole attachment?
It should move about 100 feet off the square, is what I'm hoping for.
And we want to thank FPU for they're going to put those up on the traffic lights and those types of things.
Rick Dyes agreed to do that. So
we want to commend them for doing that for us.
Yes.
Okay. Right, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to the city administrator's report. Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Mayor. As Christie alluded to and others, there's a lot of activity going on. Adrian and myself met with Lisa Smith and Sid Hill, assistant deans with Motlow Community College earlier in the week, well, yesterday, and they were expressing to us Motlow's desire to help us with agricultural grants that can assist with the farmers market. So we're working with them on that process. The Economic and Community Development Team, it's been mentioned that the branding initiative kicks off tomorrow. They'll be here for 3 straight days and then much more on down the road. The Downtown Master Plan kickoff meetings are July 18th and 19th. And also as part of Economic and Community Development, the city, at your request, has recently joined the Huntsville Chamber of Commerce, and we're working to build a partnership with them. The Recreation Center and Aquatic Center feasibility study kicked off yesterday, and they're compiling information. It'll be a several weeks process, probably about 3 months we're anticipating, but very enthusiastic. I think the board selected a very good firm to handle that study for us. This Thursday, the Executive Director, Patrick McIntyre of Tennessee State Historic Commission, will be visiting Fayetteville. Multiple reasons. One of them is to introduce the new Wars Commission Director to the Camp Blunt site and allow her to review it. But more importantly, Director McIntyre will be discussing the Phase 1 plans, because as you all know, July 5th is when the property becomes available. And the dedicated team that has been working on this project is ready to go to bid as soon as we get the state's blessing on it. Once Director McIntyre approves the Phase 1 plans, he will, on behalf of the city of Fayetteville, submit them to the State Building Commission for final approval, but construction should be happening in July and August after we go through the bid process. Speaking of bids, our Phase 1 Greenway is under final review by TDOT at this time. We had communication with them today. There was a minor question on the disadvantaged business enterprise of a subcontractor. It's part of the Title VI requirements that not only the city has to meet, but any contractors, subcontractors that we work with. But that was quickly resolved, and the local government director assured me today that they're midway through their 2-week review process, and we should have an answer tomorrow. And, or not tomorrow, excuse me, next week, no later than next week. So we're going to continue communication and hopefully be contacting you all very soon for a groundbreaking ceremony. Likewise, with the Phase 2 Greenway, everything is moving forward. State Building Commission has approved the bridge going across the Elk River, and we're still on target for an August-September bid date. The Local Parks and Recreation Fund grant for the soccer complex is continuing to move forward. We were in contact with the Dyke and Goodman office out of Houston today. Their legal team is reviewing the deed that our city attorney presented. They said they had a couple of minor modifications, and they'll be sending that back for us to review, but it is moving forward. A couple more notes. Our property maintenance coordinator, Lennis Vaughn, had a very productive meeting yesterday with Bill Lord, who is a classmate of mine in the Certified Public Manager class. He came and met with Lennis to discuss all the opportunities for the lots that we have and how we can coordinate through the Tennessee Housing Development Agency. and start, with the board's permission, of course, start rebuilding homes on some of the ones that's been condemned and the city's had the property. Also reaching out to Habitat and some other agencies to try to put some homes back on these lots. And lastly, we did apply for the Boyd Foundation Dog Park Dash grant. It's a $25,000 no match grant for dog parks. And we're in competition across the state. We applied last year and came up a little short. But if you all go to our Facebook page, we have some information on it, and the more social media hits that we get, the more it helps our cause through now to June 30th. I'm even talking, please put pictures of your dogs and everything up. It's a fun grant, and it's no cost to the city. Mayor, that's my report, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. We don't have any unfinished business. We'll go into new business. Item A, committee meeting format recommendation. We had an alderman brought forward in our work session, just kind of tightening up the structure on our committee formats. And we talked that out. I just need a motion and a second.
I'd like to make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Miss Allen?
Aye.
Miss Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Miss Hartman?
Aye.
Miss Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye. Item passed. We'll go to item B, city administrator contract. We recently reviewed Mr. Collins' evaluation back in April. It was sent out. Mr. Joe Constantini from our MTAS representative scored them and brought them back. We met as a board and reviewed and had interactive discussions back and forth with Mr. Collins. He scored a 4.07 out of 5, 5 being the highest. We just spoke in the work session the other day about his contract. We had board consensus for a 3-year contract. Mr. Hill put together a document to that effect. And so need a motion.
I'd like to make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Second by Alderman Martinez. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to ask for one slight amendment on this contract, if it's okay. Everything's identical, it's nothing new. He's not getting any bonuses, he's not getting any raises, anything like that. But it has the term of agreement shall be 36 months beginning June 11th, 2019 and ending June 10th, 2020. I would think that should be beginning July 11th, 2019 and ending July 10th, 2020, because he's under his current contract through July 10th. So I would think it should be July instead of June.
Mr. Hill?
I had looked at the current contract when I was drawing this up, but you caught me, Danny. I'm not sure that I was thinking I was tracking so that this one would pick up at the start. But
I can make that amendment based on whether you're right with this or not.
Okay.
But and the reason I'm saying that is this: when at the last contract that we had, it was a 15-month contract, and it was presented in a way that, and it's okay to go ahead and vote on it, but it was presented in a way to not offer Mr. Scott an official contract to actually start until the end of the date that went to, and we agreed not to do that, and we agreed kind of verbally not to do that. So I would just simply say if that is July instead of June, I would like to make a motion to amend that to July.
And I did check the minutes from the meeting when his last contract was approved, because I had also recalled that the board had passed something stipulating as to when the next contract could be discussed, and it was in June, so we were right at the target time that was. So if we want to just, I guess the board could conceivably pass something to say a 3-year contract starting at the end of his existing contract, and
Yeah,
I can verify that.
I would, my dates might be wrong. I'm going with the dates that I had on my notes.
And
what I'm
mine may
going
be
by.
too, Alderman, so
I think that'd be better just to go ahead and amend it to where just simply be a 3-year contract, beginning at the end of this current
Do I need to
contract.
restate that motion again?
No, I've made a motion to amend it to that. If we get a second, we vote on the amendment, then we'll go back and vote on the main motion. That's all right.
I'll second that.
All right, any discussion? Adrian, call the roll on the amendment first.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
All right, so we'll go back to the first, we had the first and the second, and then any discussion on that?
Is this on the main motion?
Mm-hmm.
I have some discussion, Ms. Mayor. In my research on employment contracts, I found that these multi-year contracts are fastly becoming a thing of the past, mostly because the employers cannot afford this payout, and it really doesn't guarantee that the employee is going to remain with the employer. In the larger cities like Nashville and Memphis and Knoxville and even Franklin, you will find multi-year contracts because these cities can afford this. The competition is very intense in these size cities, but in your smaller towns and cities, I found a 1 year at best. So, you know, I stick with my recommendation on the 1 year contract. And I want you to ask yourself, why a multi-year contract? Does it really tie the employee down? If an offer is attractive enough, that employee is going to leave. So does it really make a better employee by giving a multi-year contract? Do they really work harder on a multi-year contract? And Scott, today I found that you are lacking in some skills as city administrator. So for this, I would recommend a 1 year contract.
Any other discussion? Adrian, call the roll.
Mr. Alder? Ms. Hartman?
No.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Item passed. Move on to item C, FY 2018 audit approval. Mr. Dan Hancock came and gave us our audit during the Finance Committee this month, went over it. We had a very good audit with one finding. As I mentioned in the work session, it's not uncommon, it's a small finding. He came back to work session and spoke a little bit for those that maybe saw that on Channel 6. We just need to make a motion, second, to approve this audit.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the FY 2018 audit.
Second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Hartman?
Yes.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye. That item passed. Item D, Downtown Mural Project Grant. A few months ago, Melanie Layton came in front of our board and discussed a project on the west side of the square, on the back side of the buildings, where she put in for a grant to do artwork that would put large mural on the back side facing down toward Lake Gerald's. She notified the city that they were awarded a grant. That grant was a matching 50-50. She came back and requested that the city match that grant. She also mentioned that she'll be looking for some stakeholders to make contributions. That match is $6,100. We discussed this in the finance and the work session this month, so I need a motion to approve that we make that match.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
That item passed. Item E, 210 Lynn Drive lot purchase. It came up in work session. I think Adrian may pull this up on the screen right here. This picture on the screen we discussed, that parcel is the old craft building, and on the back side Mr. Collins, is it correct, the owner came and gave us the offer for $45,000 for 120 feet by 111, is that correct?
120 by
211.
By 211. We talked about that space being a connector to the park that's pretty much clear at the moment and attractive to something we could have additional parking when we have events down there.
Now, we did also mention this would be pending a survey and going to the planning commission.
Let's state that in the motion.
Yeah.
Would you like to make the motion state that?
Just might as well go ahead. What time I'm doing it? Yeah, I'd make a motion that we proceed with the purchase of that lot pending surveying and going to the planning commission.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
That item passed. Item F, we had an emergency purchase of a server in IT for the police department due to a cyber attack. That purchase was stated on your iPads at $13K plus. It is justified within our policy to make that. We just need to validate that purchase.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
That item passed. Item G, migration of our payroll system. We had discussion of, Mr. Taylor came from IT and spoke to us at our work session in regards to the payroll plan everything going to local government. In a very effective way we'll be purchasing time card machines, and there will be the employee will have a card they'll swipe in as a GPS component to the card, and so we discussed that. So we need a motion not to exceed $41,919.28 for that.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we purchase that payroll system that not to exceed that cost, $41,919.28.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion?
We did discuss this a lot in different committees, and this really should, once the employees get used to it, and they'll get used to it. It should solve some problems, I believe, we could have or possibly could have with doing everything manually. And this would be a lot more accurate also, no doubt about it, because it's not just a matter of being somebody writing down they got so much overtime, whatever, they got to use those time cards and all.
Well, it makes it very efficient.
Very efficient.
On the overtime, and people don't realize that the way our firefighters and our police that do a lot of overtime, sometimes that calculation gets into percentages, and this ties in and does all that mathematically for us. So.
And one of my questions was, because I'm not a tech person, well, okay, then what if they go out on a job or whatever, and they don't get to go by to clock in or whatever? They do it from their cell phone. Mm-hmm. If they don't have a cell phone, there's another option they've got. They can still do it. So I think this is really a good thing in modernizing that system.
Any other discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
That item passed. Item H, ordinance for 2019-03 mobile food truck regulation. We discussed this last month. We came back, tweaked the language a little bit, had another discussion the other day. We had a gentleman from the public come and give us some information. So we have this ordinance now in the final wording format. We just need a motion, a second.
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
A second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
That item passed. Item I, ordinance for 2019-04 FY 2020 budget. We had our public hearing. This is the budget that we discussed and went over. We do want to make a note that the recent reappraisal of property, our tax rate that's noted in here will drop from $1.65 to $1.50. And Mr. Collins?
Mayor, I would like to make a comment and just bring it forward to the board, the full board, that I did make a mistake in the capital budget. Alderman Hartman and I had a meeting this morning with our finance director, and there was a typo under capital budget. We had budgeted for a public works mower for $100,000, which you all approved during the work session, the budget work session. However, when it made it from the worksheet to the budget document, it was at $10,000. So with that mistake, and thank you again, Alderman, for pointing that out, with that mistake, I'd like to recommend that we still approve the budget so we can get it in the comptroller's hands and be ready to go July 1st with comptroller approval. And then as the budget year wears on, we've consulted with Public Works. They can make do through the end of this mowing season, and we can revisit the need for the mower this winter, and if necessary, amend the additional shortfall of $90,000 that I neglected to put in there.
So you're saying the tractor and bush hog that was in a capital we approved, you want it took out?
Well, I'd like to have that $10,000 left in there.
I'm saying the 90,000.
Yes, sir.
You want the 90,000 pulled back out. They don't get a tractor and bush hog. We'll address that at some later date.
Yes,
the 10,000 will roll back into capital just like it would if you had bid it and you could buy it at 90, the 10 would stay in capital. This is the same thing.
Yes, sir.
I understand.
All right, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make that motion that we approve the ordinance 2019-4 FY 2020 budget with that change.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a discussion. I mean, I'm not sure that we met enough to tweak this budget enough. We are short $467,057. Had we not made this amendment tonight, that would have been an additional $90,000, which would have put us at roughly $567,000. We met one time on a $12 million budget, and I'm not sure that we put the time in this that we should have. So I would have to vote no on this budget.
Any other discussion?
We didn't meet as many times as we normally meet twice, but through the finance and through the budget process coming up to this year, mainly out of finance, we normally what happens in a budget, and it just happens, that's part of it. I mean, you get into it and there's a lot of fluff in it possibly, and then we as board members has got to go through and weed through it and all such as that. And we just kind of told the city administrator's time, we felt like it, I know I told him this, I felt like that they needed to do more work up front in this budget to where it would be more reasonable whenever it gets to the board, where we don't spend a lot of extra time having to go back and redo a lot of stuff. Well, as it happened, they did that this year. They did what they was asked to do. I believe that $400-something thousand has been explained already. If you're sitting here with $2.8 million in grants, and you got to have like a 20% match or whatever, and that's what it is in most of them anyway, 20% match. I mean, you got to get that 20% from somewhere. It don't grow on trees. You got to pull it from somewhere. You got to pull it in somewhere. So I guess and the city administrators said that's what it is. I mean, that's the reason for the shortfall primarily. So we've been getting these grants built up over time to use for the community, so that we, instead of pulling $400-something thousand from somewhere, that we just throw our hands up and say, we don't want any more grants. We'll give up that 2.8 million and keep our 400-something thousand. Doesn't make any sense. That's all I got to say.
Well, I'll make a note, and previous boards voted and committed to these matches on these grants. And if you say no, or you back out of a grant, good luck trying to get another one in the future, especially with the state. I mean, that is the ultimate no-no in regards to going back and say, well, we don't really want to do it now. Maybe later we'll come back. That doesn't work that way. So, anyway.
We also knew moving forward with these grants and these projects that we started that we would have to pull the money from our rainy day fund when it came down to it, because we had some votes on that board at that time that voted no because of the money that was going to be needed. So we knew coming forward that this money was going to have to come from somewhere.
Well, we prepared for it.
Right.
We've been building fund balance for the last several years. We came out of, in 2008, we was in, for the ones of us that was here, we was in a nightmare. We, financially, we was in a, two of us was here, I know, we was in a terrible situation. And we made some hard choices, and we made some choices that is to the city's benefit that upset some folks somewhere quite a bit, but those choices need to be made, and we made those choices. And we've been working really hard as a board, not just this board, the previous boards. Every board coming forward has been working hard to build these fund balances up to the point to where we're able to do some things for our community. And just to think it, we're not going to take all these state grants in order to do all the greenways, in order to do the Camp Blunt, in order to do all these things as enhancements for communities, because we're going to have to give up $400,000 or $500,000 because we had to pull it out of reserve funds to do, in order to do that. Knowing we was going to have to do it all along, and spending all this time building these funds up to where we can spend some of this money for the benefit of the community, and there's a problem with that. I'm sorry, but I don't buy that.
It hasn't been too many months ago when we were asked to spend some of the funds. Well, we are spending it now for the community.
As well we should be. And we know we've got other issues that moving forward. We've got some issues, infrastructure issues has been mentioned here tonight. We know that we've got these infrastructure issues to deal with. We know it's going to cost some money. So when we go to deal with those infrastructure issues that we're going to have to deal with, one in particular, are we going to say, well, no, because we don't want to pull in reserve funds. Well, what's the reserve funds for? That's just my thoughts.
I don't think I'm not for pulling out of the grants. That's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that, but I don't think we're taking other things into account, just like Mr. Law spoke on those absences, compensated absences. That's nowhere in this budget.
The what?
The compensated absence cost that we have to pay on the retirees when they retire, that's not mentioned anywhere in here. And, we have other costs that's coming up. Like you say, there's nothing in this budget about the sidewalks, stuff like that. So I'm not saying we should pull away from the grants. I know the grants are very important, but I'm saying we met one time, and I don't know that we put enough thought and work into this budget.
I did.
That's your opinion.
I do my homework. I don't just meet in a meeting. I don't know what everybody else does, but I spend hours in looking at a lot of this, and the one got by me that you called, and I'm glad you caught that. I'm really glad you did. But as far as what was spoken on before about what Mr. Law spoke on, about 2 years ago, maybe, I guess, we began to look in depth at some of the issues that he was speaking on. And we began to see some problems, and we began to see some things to where some changes need to be made. We've already made significant changes in that area, and I think that the city administrator made it clear that we are continuing to work and looking at that area. So it's just not like we turned a blind eye to anything. You know, we've made some changes that I'm sure the employees is not very happy with. Some of the employees that's moving on or whatever. But it's not like we're sitting here doing nothing. We are working with those issues. But I believe that our folks that does these things, the finance director and city administrator and all the department heads and everything, has done a really good job on this budget. I don't see any big red flags with this budget. I think they've done a great job. Are we doing more than we've been doing? Are we spreading out and doing more than, quite a bit more than we've been doing? We are doing more than we've been doing. We are spending a lot of funds, like $150,000 just in some studies we're having made. Part of it's for the downtown area, part of it's for the system as a whole. So we are beginning to use these funds for the benefit of the city. And I don't have a problem with this budget. I think it's a good one. I think it's a good, strong budget. Any bumps in the road we have, we'll take care of them.
So
Y'all
if
done
we're
a good
looking
job.
at a tractor down the road, that's the taxpayer's $100,000, and that doesn't seem to be a problem, but I vote no on the budget.
Well, whenever we come to vote, I'll let everybody know how I'm going to vote.
Okay.
When the vote's called for.
Any other discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Hartman?
No.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Oldham?
That passes. Item J, Fayetteville City School 2020 General Purpose Budget. We discussed the other day in the work session, the next several items are in regards to the Fayetteville City School System. It's part of our requirement as a board to pass them as well for the benefit of the school system. Need a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Adrian, call the roll.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Older?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
That item passes. Item K, Fayetteville City School System 2020 Cafeteria Budget. Same thing. Need a
Move to approve.
Second.
Second?
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Older?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
That item passes. Item L, Fayetteville City School System 2020 Capital Projects Budget.
Move to approve.
Second. Any discussion? Call the roll, please, Adrian.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Older?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
That item passes. Item M, Ms. Adrian brought to us at last month and followed up at this month in our finance, and we talked about in the work session, the Life Services EAP program. It's a program that for $3,600 a year, it prevents a lot of life services for in regards to our work staff, our employees, things like people that have. Well, Adrian, you want to speak to it for just a second?
It just offers anything from financial aid to if we were to be involved in any kind of shootings or anything with our officers, aid for them. They would have somebody come in and counsel with them, and also their family members may call in and get aid for that as well.
It's anonymous. I think it's anonymous.
Yes, sir, it is anonymous, and that's all kept between them, kind of like, a doctor and client confidentiality.
And it's a long list of services for the amount, and we're not tied. We could do this, and if after a year we decided we wanted to, we could drop out. Alderman Hartman mentioned the advantages of that from a local community that also has it up in Brentwood. So as a board, we felt like this is a good program to instill. I just need a motion to make.
I make a motion. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
That item passes. The next several items are all appointments to boards. Item N we struck on the service parking lot, so we go to item O. The Industrial Board Oversight Committee met with the county, and they had 3 spots that have to be appointed starting in July 1st, 1 city and 2 county. The Oversight Committee, where Alderman Alder is our chair, came out of that with the recommendation, first item O, that Russ Dixon, who's been serving for the last 5 months, stay on for a 6-year appointment as a city appointment. So need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
That item passes. Item P, this is a county for industrial board for a 6-year term. Rick Head will be serving as a first-time member. He was a member of the Oversight Committee when he was a commissioner. I had a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye. Item Q, the last one in regards to industrial board, Will Thomas has been serving the last year and a half, serving out a term. Anybody that under the last 2 years of a term can be reappointed for a full 6-year term. The IDB Oversight recommended that. I just need a motion and a second.
I make a motion. Second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
The next two, in regards to Fayetteville Public Utilities, I notified the board 2 weeks ago or so that I would be reappointing Amy Harwell and Glenn Oldham. Item R is Amy Harwell.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
That item passes. Next is Glenn Oldham, reappointment. Need a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I believe that we reappoint Glenn Oldham, FPU board.
A second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
That passes. Last item T that we added to the agenda tonight, Alderman Hartman brought forward about Main Street First Friday being moved from July 5th to June 28th, and also asking that the south side could be used for vendors as well. We need a motion and a second.
Can I ask a question about that? The food trucks, I know that we've approved that tonight, and I know that they were interested in having the food trucks on First Friday. Is that something that we could add, or is that something Main Street would have to come and request? Because I know it's something that has to be approved by the board for a Friday night. And I was thinking, I knew that they were interested in doing that, but I don't know if anybody made that request.
Well, the way that I understand it, it takes 15 days once we voted on the ordinance for it to go into effect. So we would have to calculate the days. Would that fall in by the time it's prepared and everything? Time-wise, is it?
And I think we also anticipated changing the special events form to allow an applicant to include that information, so.
I just didn't know if that's something we could do for them this month so that they could do that on the June 28th, or if that's something we'd have to wait and do at the next meeting.
That won't constitute 15 days. It won't fall in 15
It won't,
days.
okay. Okay, so we'll have to wait till the next one, okay.
Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion, Mayor.
Second.
Any discussion? Adrian, call the roll, please.
Ms. Small?
Aye.
Mr. Alder?
Aye.
Ms. Hartman?
Aye.
Ms. Martinez?
Aye.
Mr. Bryant?
Aye.
Ms. Allen?
Aye.
That completes the agenda of new business. We'll go to our closing comments. Alderman Bryant.
Well, I think the next big thing we've got coming up is that big fireworks show right around the corner. My dog was going to get out of the pen, run all over the country, and I'm going to have to do something with him. So, but I'm going to put him up this time, I believe. And other than that, I just, I hope everybody enjoyed the day, because if he was outside the day, I tell you one thing, it felt good. And we're not going to have many more days like this for a while, so hope you enjoyed it. That's all I've got.
I just wanted to remind everybody of the daddy-daughter dance that's coming Friday. I think that's going to be a great event. I'd also like to thank FPU for recording our work sessions. I've had several people tell me they enjoyed watching that. And I'd like to invite everybody to attend those and the committee meetings if they're interested. There's a lot of exciting things going on in the city right now.
We've got a lot of exciting things coming up from the rec department. Congratulations on what you've done so far. Keep up the good work, and looking forward to some of those items coming up.
I'd also like to say a little bit about the daddy-daughter dance. And my little girl's really excited about it, so you can still sign up. It's this Friday. And also Music in the Park going on a lot this summer, so everybody make sure they check that out.
Anybody's got some video of Alderman Alder cutting the moves on the floor?
Please don't.
We'll pay.
Alderman Hartman.
I hope everyone is having a great summer so far. This First Friday event last Friday was just a great time. Everybody was out. People were moving around town. Yes, the rain ran us in for a little bit, but everybody was having fun. Even the kids, when it was raining, they were splashing. They were having a big time. So I think this is a big event for our city, and I'm excited to see it grow every month. Also, let's get out and enjoy this break in the weather, and thank the Lord for all your blessings.
Well, everybody's covered everything I wanted to say, of course. Thank you, Bernadette and Dr. Wilson, always for coming and giving your report. We really appreciate those. First Friday I enjoyed it a lot. I look forward to it coming again on the 28th and hope to see more out there. And if you see it on social media, spread the word. That way they're on both sides of the square. I know I walked over to the north side of the square. It was a little bit more deader than the other side, but hope everybody has a great summer, and we'll see you back in July.
Mr. Mayor, can I say one thing? About the food trucks that Ms. Allen spoke about. The 25th is 15 days, so the 26th would be the 28th, so it could be approved for that, like you requested, because as Alderman Martinez and Alderman Hartman were up on the square, they heard the request of people asking for these food trucks, and they thought they were going to be there. So it was a huge event for all of these lunches that have been suffering around the square. And I just think that as a board that y'all should really try to help with these lunches, because we have worked on this food truck issue since December of 2017, and it has taken this long to get it here. I just really think that y'all should really think about what we're doing to our community, but not letting the merchants and our community have events down on the square. So I wish y'all would reconsider that.
Thank you, Ms. Osgood.
Mr. Mayor, the ordinance says that it will take effect 15 days from and after the passage.
Well, I will talk to Mr. Collins and Mr. Hill, and we will address this.
Okay.
I would like to state that I want to mention one thing, that recently our Tablescapes event, which had been under Main Street, switched over to under the museum, and they had that recently, and it was a very successful event, and everybody that participated had fantastic tables, and everybody was deserving of winning individually, I felt. But I want to mention that, and so the museum will take that going forward. And when I speak about the museum, their Pasta Premiere event will be coming up in August. So if you know people that on the museum board, they'll be selling tickets to that event, that fundraiser for the museum. We are taping the work sessions. We meet here the Thursday before the second Tuesday of each month. And so those will be in after it's recorded. I know this past time I saw it 3 straight days on Channel 6. And thank you for FPU for doing that. Some of us will be going to the Municipal League Conference here in a week and a half over in Memphis, and that's always a beneficial to our community to come back and gather with our peers in other communities, and when we sit down we discover that a lot of the issues we have the same type of issues. And last I want to mention Thursday night Music in the Park. The last 2 Thursday nights have been very successful. And so they have a whole program. You go to the Chamber website, Fayetteville, Lincoln County Chamber website, and look into that. But besides from that, Everybody, don't forget to go to that 4th of July at Don Davidson Park on June the 29th, and we'll look forward to that coming back in July. Thank you so much. We're adjourned.